In this part, we shall see the impact of Second World War on Indian national movement and individual Satyagraha. The British Indian government under Lord Linlithgow declared war on Germany without consulting the elected members of the Central Legislative Assembly. Now, since Britain was fighting a war for democracy against fascist tendencies, the Congress was willing to support British government in its war efforts. But the Congress questioned how could India help Britain fight for freedom when India itself is not free. So they demanded independence for India first. In September 1939, the Congress Working Committee met at Wardha to decide their official stand. Non-Congress members like Subhash Chandra Bose, Jai Prakash Narayan and Acharya Narendra Dev were also invited for diversity of opinion. Here, sharp differences of opinion arose. There were three major opinions. First, Gandhiji. Gandhiji was in total sympathy with the Allied cause and wanted India to give unquestioning cooperation to the British government because he saw a clear difference between the democratic states of Western Europe, USA, and the totalitarian Nazi Germany. The second was Subhash Chandra Bose and the Socialists. They were against supporting either of the sides. They held that it was an imperialist war as both sides were fighting to defend or gain colonies. And so it was the right time for the Congress to take advantage and launch a massive civil disobedience movement. The third was Jawaharlal Nehru. Jawaharlal Nehru was against capitalism. He saw this war as a result of contradictions in the capitalist system. Though Britain and France had justice on their side, but they too were imperialist. So he was of the opinion that India should not join the war till it gained independence, but it must also not take advantage of Britain's difficulties by starting an immediate struggle. Now Gandhiji's opinion found no support in Congress. Even his ardent followers like Rajendra Prasad and Sardar Patel opposed him. So eventually Gandhiji embraced Nehru's stand, and so the Congress Working Committee adopted the same stand put forth by Nehru. Its resolution condemned the Nazi invasion but maintained that India could not fight a war for democratic freedom when it was being denied that very freedom. Congress was of the opinion that if Britain was really fighting for democratic values, then it must prove it by ending imperialism in the colonies and establishing democracy in India. The Congress demanded the Viceroy to declare that he would implement the war aims in India, only then India would support Britain and its allies in the war. But Britain's response to this was negative. In a statement made by Viceroy Linlithgow on October 17, 1939, he refused to define the war aims. But instead he tried to pit Muslim League and the rulers of princely states against the Congress. He said that at the end of the war, all the Indian communities and political parties would be consulted regarding modification to the Government of India Act 1935. So it was clear that Britain was not willing to free India during or after the war. The Indian people reacted angrily. The Working Committee of the Congress rejected Viceroy's statement on 23 October 1939. Gandhiji lashed out at Britain that it was trying to divide and rule India with no intention of democratizing India. The Congress decided that it would not support the war and asked the Congress ministries to resign. But Congress was also careful, on the other hand, of not launching any mass struggle. While many in the Congress agreed about the resignation of Congress ministries, there was a difference of opinion over the launch of mass satyagraha. Gandhiji and other dominant leaders of the Congress were against launching an immediate struggle. Congress passed a resolution to that effect in its Ramgarh session of March 1940. The Congress gave three reasons for not launching a struggle. First, according to them, the Allied powers were fighting for a just cause, so they could not be further weakened at this point. Second, the lack of Hindu-Muslim unity could turn a mass struggle into communal riots. And third, Congress organization had become weak and indisciplined. But the left-wing groups like Subhash Chandra Bose and his forward bloc, the Congress Socialist Party and the Communist Party of India urged the Congress leadership to launch a mass struggle immediately. In case the Congress did not agree to this, Subhash Chandra Bose wanted Congress to split and a parallel Congress to be organized, which would launch a mass struggle. But the leaders of CSP and CPI thought that no struggle was possible without the support of Gandhi and Congress. Now the government knew about the possibility of a mass struggle, so it simultaneously passed ordinances that took away the freedom of speech and the right to organize associations. Nationalist workers were arrested. The government made it clear that it will crush any form of mass struggle initiated by the Congress. So the Congress asked Gandhi to take command. So Gandhi came up with the idea of individual Satyagraha. Gandhi initiated a limited Satyagraha on individual basis in every locality. The Satyagrahis were carefully chosen. They were to preach people against participation in the war after informing the district magistrate of time and place of such anti-war speech. Vinoba Bhave was the first Satyagrahi on 17th October 1940. Jawaharlal Nehru was the second. Gandhi wanted to check the government's response, and if the government did not arrest the individual Satyagrahis, then the plan was to march to Delhi. But by May 15, 1941, more than 25,000 Satyagrahis were convicted. In the next video, we shall see Jinnah's two-nation theory, the August Offer, and Cripps Mission.